Should old acquaintance be forgot and never brought to mind? Should old acquaintance be forgot and days of old lang syne? For old lang syne, my dear, for old lang syne, we'll talk a cup of kindness yet for days of old lang syne. And here's a hand, my trusty friend, and here's a hand of thine. We'll talk a cup of kindness yet for old lang syne. For old lang syne, my dear, for old lang syne, we'll talk a cup of kindness yet for old lang.
Well, welcome back to Wojo Homestead. I'm Erik.
And I'm Catie.
And this is going to be a little bit of a different video than what we normally do. It's New Year's Eve, and we figured we would ring in the new year and talk a little bit about how 2021 went, because I think we can all agree that it was a different kind of year. It was a long year for me. I don't know if it was a long year for you.
It was a long year for me. Definitely. Well, to start out with, what are you drinking?
my customary Arnold Palmer, virgin this time.
What is it, iced tea and lemonade?
Yep.
And I'm drinking carbonated water with strawberry lemon collagen powder in it.
That doesn't sound appetizing at all.
So, I don't know if you can tell, but we're not big alcohol drinkers over here.
I don't have anything against it, just not my normal cup of tea, or drink as it is.
I have enough issues with motivation some days. I don't need to be just a little more tired.
Yeah.
Everybody knows 2020 sucked in the worst possible way.
Yeah.
With the pandemic and, you know, just with the election, with the divisiveness that kind of permeated the country, I guess you could say. Just everybody judging everybody else, and you know, different groups of people blaming other groups of people, and it was just a toxic nightmare, and that definitely carried over to 2021 in a big way. So there were good things and bad things about 2021. We'll start with the bad things. I end on a good note.
Well, okay. So at the tail end of 2020, I started up a new job. It became a little bit more than I could chew. I started working at a solar electric company. So we installed residential solar panels on people's rooftops for the most part. And all was well and good for the first, about the first week, really. I figure every new job is, the first week every new job is always difficult. Anyway, it turned into a...
It never got better.
No, it turned into
only
a
got worse.
70 to 80 hour a week slog through... I installed solar in -10, and I installed -10 degrees Fahrenheit, and I installed solar in 110 degrees Fahrenheit.
Ice storms, lightning storms. Now, okay, he's not complaining about 70 to 80 hours a week of work. But this specific work situation was probably the most toxic thing you can ever imagine. And it just, well, I guess, we won't go too much into it, but We also didn't get a lot done on the homestead.
It's difficult.
Because-
Yeah, it's difficult to do anything at home when your day starts at about 5:45 a.m. and doesn't finish off until 10, 11,
12, 1.
I had clocked out at 12:30 one time at night, so 12:30 a.m.
Not to mention, you never could tell on any given day whether you'd be going out of town for 2 weeks at a time. And
Yeah.
that's just no situation that can last
So
long term.
the short of it is that it was a job conducive to a young guy, maybe still living with his parents, with no other obligations. He could drop off the map for a couple weeks, and no one would.
Even then, I don't know how anyone could have a life.
Yeah. So anyway, so I did that for most of the year up until this last October, when I decided that I needed to.
Enough was enough.
Yep, I decided that I needed to get my life back. My health was deteriorating. My mental state was pretty bad. That happens when you get an average, 4 or 5 hours of sleep a night and you're working hard 20 hours a day.
Yeah.
So
It was not good, but you seem to really like the experience as far as what you were physically working on.
Yeah. I don't have anything against solar. I would do more solar in a heartbeat if I could do it. I just I want it to be for a different company, maybe under different circumstances.
Or even just for ourselves, but
future things.
yeah. And you decided that, electrical work was kind of the route that you wanted to stick with, and that's where you're at now, just kind of
So
waiting.
I'm doing odd jobs at the moment. So my schedule is a lot more open than it was for the previous part of the year. But
You're doing restoration work.
Yeah, I'm doing kind of handyman stuff, a little bit of everything. One day I could be putting in new flooring, and the next day I could be just tearing somebody's basement out. Anyway, I'm doing that in the meantime while I wait for more electrical work to come around.
My job situation, I'm about 6.5 years at the same job, and given the state of the world at the moment,
she's been kind of our anchor for the past couple of years.
As far as job stability, yeah. But given the state of the world at the moment, it's made my work a challenge in many ways, both with what I do and for me mentally, it's been really tough. So yeah, and I think it's just kind of this whole pandemic situation has just kind of driven home that maybe I'm not where I'm supposed to be, but not a whole lot more I can say about that either. We started off 2021 on kind of a sad note. We've lost a lot this year.
Yeah, it's been
We lost our almost 21-year-old cat in January, Pepper.
Pepper.
Yeah, and
He died of, I guess, kidney failure, basically.
kidney failure and old age, but he lived a good life. So that kind of started off our year. And then in April, we lost my grandpa, which was really tough, especially since we hadn't been able to really see him a whole lot, other than through the window because he lived in a nursing home. And then, and I'm still not at the point where I can openly discuss this yet without having a meltdown, but we lost our last horse in July. I had meant to do a video on that, and I could not bring myself to finish it, so I'm giving myself a little bit of time with that one because that was very disorienting for me, and I'm still struggling.
Yeah, Victoria, her horse was was kind of her rock. She'd had her since high school.
No, before that.
Before high school, even. Yeah. So, and
21 years.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And
moving on.
It's a difficult topic, but that's the thing about having farms, having animals, is they don't live forever, and we all know this. But it doesn't make it any easier when a cherished family member dies.
We've lost many animals throughout the years, but this one it was just too much. And then just a month ago you lost your grandma.
Yeah, so my grandma passed about a month ago, and actually her husband, my grandfather, he died last December. So that was realistically within a year. I lost 2 grandparents.
Yeah.
Catie lost a grandparent, and
I think we figured out we lost 5 grandparents in 6 years.
Yeah, the last few years have been hard, but the last year and a half has been particularly difficult.
Mm-hmm. Oh, and we lost T-Man the chicken too, our favorite rooster.
Yeah. He was ahead of the flock, and
we lost quite a few old hens in the laying flock too. So, yeah, kind of a year of loss, but we take their memories with us into 2022. And on the negative things about 2021 note, I just want to say that you went a couple of places. You went to Flight Fest with your dad, but I really, really, really missed going on vacation. Not that we go on vacation a terribly lot.
It's difficult to go anywhere with all the farm animals because they require breakfast, lunch, and breakfast and dinner.
Yeah, we're kind of anchored to this homestead here, but I do usually get to do like a girls' getaway, homesteading conference, that kind of thing. And I did not get to do that. And I really, really missed that. I think I could have really used that with, the state of our mental health and stuff like that.
Yeah, I think that'll have to be more of a priority for 2022 for you.
Yeah.
Get you out of the house a little more.
Yep. So, yeah. And other than that, I mean, I'm kind of realizing that at the end of each year, I kind of take stock, of everything we coulda, shoulda, woulda done, and I get kind of down about it at the end of the year, and I'm trying to spin it in a positive light, but my main, I guess, shortfall feeling this year is that it's kind of there's a money time continuum. Either you have money, but you're working so much where you don't have the time to do the things around the farm that, maybe we wanted to get done and didn't because you were too busy working and I was too busy working. But I feel like that and the people and animals that we've lost have kind of been the main drags of the year, I guess. But there were good things that happened too.
Yeah. Okay. So, because we want to end this video on a positive note, not just all the bad things that happened. Okay. So, what was the first thing that was good about 2021?
We bought the farm.
Okay, so we got the farm, but we bought the farm later in the year. What the very first thing about the year? What was the first thing that we did?
Well, we got back into maple sugaring, which was super exciting.
Yeah, so there were a few videos on that to kind of start the year off.
We did the poor man's method.
Yeah, that was our second iteration of maple syruping. So yeah, and then we're gonna do another one here. It's coming in a couple months here. I have all the parts that I need to build a much larger evaporator, so we might actually be able to go into more of a industrial production after this.
And there will definitely be videos on that.
Yeah, it's
Because
just
it's pretty cool.
yeah, just back to that time money continuum.
Yeah. Yeah, so we got back into that. We also got a new type of honeybee that we've never had before, the Buckfast honeybees.
Yeah, so they're from, where are they from originally?
University of Minnesota, or
Yeah,
I may have the state wrong.
Anyway,
but some university developed them.
Yeah, they're a little different than your traditional Russian or Italian honeybee. And we're hoping that they will weather a Michigan weather a little bit better than the other ones did. We've been keeping bees for, well, we've been doing it for 7 years, but not continuously.
Yeah, on and off for 6 or 7 years.
Yes, and we've not been able to, unfortunately, get a hive to survive the whole winter. Now, granted, we've only ever done 1 or 2 hives, so it can be difficult to keep hives going if you don't have any backup plan where you can supplement one hive for one bees from one hive to another. That kind of a thing is kind of, you got all your eggs in one basket.
Yeah. Well, I mean, there were times when we just could not afford to buy 5, 6, 7, nukes or packages of bees.
Yeah, bees aren't getting any cheaper either. It's like everything else right now.
But I mean, for the most part, I think they did really well. The one ironic thing, though, is supposedly Buckfast bees have less of a tendency to swarm.
And the first thing they did this spring is swarm.
And we actually did have one hive that swarmed, and that was the first hive that we've ever had swarm on us.
Yeah.
So, I mean, probably something that we could have done on our part. But anyway, we did kind of rebuild that hive with, some frames from the other hive, and it worked out, but we have yet to see if they'll make it through the winter, but knock on wood.
Yeah, we managed to get a couple gallons of honey out of the deal. But yeah, hopefully this will be the first year, knock on wood, that we'll be able to have some bees that survive the winter.
Yeah. Yep, so that's pretty exciting, and if we can get them to live, we'll do some hive splits in 2022 and hopefully, expand our apiary.
I might have, given what happened last year, I might have to build a hive trap or swarm trap, maybe. I've never done that, but I hear that's something that's a thing.
We'll see.
So maybe, possibly, if we have another swarm next year, maybe we can catch it. After the bees, last April, what did we get?
We got our 2 Nigerian dwarf dolings, our little baby goats.
Yeah, which aren't so little anymore.
Nope, they're about 75 pounds.
Yeah, they're little miniature cows.
But they were probably 10 pounds when we got them. They were the size of cats.
They were
and
super cute.
So bouncy and so adorable. And I'm sure you've probably seen our other videos on them. And why did we get goats, though?
Yeah, so part of our future farm, is to do dairying with the goats.
They are the beginning of our venture into dairy goats. We want to, take steps where we can to be more self-sufficient.
Yeah,
and not buy cheese from the grocery store anymore.
So
yeah, we can't sell the dairy products, but we can make some for ourselves. And I've been practicing making goat milk cheeses and things, and we're so excited about that. And soap, oh my gosh.
Yeah, she just got on a kick.
I started making goat milk soap, not with our goat milk. they will not be in milk until they are
probably about a year from
until
now.
after they give birth. Yeah, but for now we're just getting good at being a goat herder, which hasn't been as easy as it maybe sounds, but they've been a joy. And when Vic was here still, she really loved them. She was like their horse mom for a couple of months.
Yeah, yeah.
And that was really neat.
On that note, we started using electric fencing this year. We bought some poultry netting and some goat netting from Premier One.
And what did we learn?
We learned that goats and poultry netting do not mix. It's too much of a choke hazard. They're destructive towards it. We had a couple near misses, and yeah. Yeah,
there was a few times when we had to basically rescue May mostly, but it did happen to Dolly. Yeah. And it just, the holes are too small, and if they get scared, if it's dark and they can't see, or we forget to turn it on for a few days and then suddenly it's on again. There's a lot of user error involved.
Yeah, so that's one thing that we learned about the netting is that, especially with goats, because they're so curious. Ooh, we're going to need to fill that up here. Mm-hmm. Anyway, so one of the things that we learned about goats and the Premier One netting is that you have to be consistent with it. If they're not in it consistently, they kind of forget to be afraid of it. And goats, they're like little children. They just get into everything and they put everything in their mouth. So we had a few instances where the goats got shocked by it, and then their first instinct was to jump into the netting, and it turned into a bad situation.
Yeah, the holes are just too small, and if they get their neck through, it can be game over unless you're right with them. So thankfully we didn't lose either one because I work from home and I can hear what's going on outside. But yeah, it could have been a bad day a couple of times. But we got more appropriate Premier One fencing, and so far it's been working pretty well. So that's a plus. So we've started clearing out some woodland, some scrub brush, and we're gonna continue to open up the property and make for some better kind of silvopasture type grazing situations. So we're pretty excited about that. And as far as our channel goes, we actually did crank out a few dozen videos, which is far more than 2020, so that was good. We got a new laptop and we got a little more comfortable with editing video and just had a lot of fun with it, didn't we?
Yeah.
And now, since you are not working 80 hours a week, you can help me a little bit.
Yeah. So Katie produced most of the content this year, mostly because I was completely unavailable. Now that my schedule's opened up a little bit more normal, have weekends off fairly regularly now, I can get to helping out with making, shooting video, editing. She's better at editing than I am now.
Only because I've done it more, because I'm, here, not on a roof somewhere. So yeah, there were good things that happened in 2021. We can't completely.
It wasn't a total write-off of a year. It's just it was a year of a lot of new things.
Yeah. And we have a new niece too, who was born in July, and she's an absolute doll.
Oh, yeah.
And we just love her. So that was a big highlight of the year. But
yeah, she's the first niece in the family.
Yeah. And how could I forget we did our first batch of meat chickens.
Oh yeah.
First ever batch of Cornish cross, and I have to say they turned out awesome. It was a great experience.
Yeah,
we,
definitely would do again.
Coughed up a little bit of money to get the proper tools right up front, and I think that was a big reason why it was so successful.
It took some of the misery out of a kind of a dirty job.
Yeah, so that was great. So we're still eating on that chicken, and we've given some to friends and family, and they seem to really enjoy it. And then the other thing, chicken related, that we did, we refreshed our laying flock. That was a big one too.
Our current flock, most of our chickens were from the 2014, 2015 time frame. So they were getting
old.
6, 7 years old. Not really laying a whole lot, but we just kind of let them go from natural causes. Anyway, our flock was getting old and it needed some new blood, and so we picked up. How many did we get? 27
or 28 that we got from Murray McMurray, and we've got videos up on that. But yeah, they've turned out to be great birds, most of them. And then we picked up a few extra from the local feed store. We got a couple of little bantams, a silver duckwing bantam rooster, and there's a golden seabright, I think you call it. And they're hilarious.
Yeah,
they're hilarious
yeah.
little boys. And they're so bossy, and the seabright is kind of cocky, where the duckwing he's really sweet.
Yeah, he'll let you pick him up. He won't come to you, but he doesn't try to really run away.
And he falls asleep.
Yeah,
in
he'll fall.
Precious.
Once you warm him up, he'll fall asleep, and then he's just an excellent. It kind of seems that the little bantam breeds, the rooster bantams, always seem to rise to the top of the pecking order in our flock. I don't know what it is, and these two seem to kind of be doing the same thing on their own.
Oh, and we got a few new ducks too. We had our one lone Ferdinand Pekin duck, or one lone Pekin duck named Ferdinand.
Yeah, named after the duck from Babe.
Yeah, and he was 6, 7 years old. So we got a couple more. What did we get? Like 8 more ducks or something?
We lost a couple.
Yeah, and we ended up losing like 2 or 3, something like that. Anyway, we now have 5 ducks. We've got 3 pekins and 2
Khaki Campbells.
Yeah. Yep. So we're getting some duck eggs, which is very exciting again.
Ferdinand got himself a couple girlfriends.
Yep. So they've formed their own little duck troop, and anyone who's got ducks knows that they are hilarious. They move as one. Really cute. Yeah. So I think that's it as far as the farm goes. Oh, we had a pretty decent garden this year.
Yeah, we got some. I think we got some onions out of it. We got some potatoes.
Yeah,
we got some tomatoes.
Plenty of tomatoes and peppers. We did have a tree crash into our garden, and we had to repair the fence, but it was towards the end of the season anyway, so no harm, no foul.
Lots of volunteer potatoes this year, actually.
Yeah, yep, and tomatoes too.
Probably the single biggest thing that happened for us this year is we bought the farm, in the literal sense.
Okay, so look what we have here. We have a bottle of champagne because today we have officially bought the farm.
And we can live to tell the tale too.
No, but we are overjoyed because we never thought that this would happen.
Yeah, it finally happened.
So this is our farm now, and we're gonna pop a bubbly and celebrate because today is a very happy day.
There we go.
Success. Good job. Yep.
We had been previously renting this farm, and the stars aligned, and it worked out that we were able to actually purchase it.
Yep. Purchased the farm from family, and which was quite a blessing, actually. We weren't sure if we were going to stay here, if we were going to move. So we officially bought this place. So we will be staying here for at least the next several years. Wow. So what's 2022 looking like?
Well, the goal is to have more videos put out.
We did pretty good.
Yeah, the second half, Katie was kicking butt on it. Around June or so, she started kicking out, what, 2 a week?
I tried.
Yeah, it's hard. It's not as simple as you would think.
Yeah, after Thanksgiving, the last month or so, I've kind of had the winter blues a little bit, and it's been hard to get motivated.
Yeah, plus with the holidays and everything, with family around, there's just a lot more stuff going on besides just work.
Yeah, but I want to try to get back to our regular twice a week upload. We might have to go down to once a week for a little while, but 2 a week is the goal. I may make it some weeks, sometimes I may not, but I'll do what I can, and hopefully Eric will be able to have a little more time for that too. But yeah, so more videos.
And
I am taking a sheep and goat birthing class in January through one of our local universities. So I am pretty excited about that.
So that's I think it's a webinar with a day of hands-on. So
yeah.
So that could be interesting. It's something that we've never done before. And I guess that's why we're taking a class.
So we're going to be breeding Dolly and May this fall, and which, we've already mentioned previously, but yesterday I put a deposit down on 3 more Nigerian dwarfs. So two more doelings and a buckling, and then we have a maybe possible second buckling from a different breeder that we're going to be bringing in, hopefully. I've got one breeding pair picked out that if they produce a buckling, we're on a waiting list for one of those. So there could potentially be 4 new Nigerian dwarf goats.
Yeah, so
super excited about that.
So what that means for me is that you have to house the bucks separately than you do the does, so that you don't end up with,
for obvious reasons.
Yeah, it's kind of like rabbits. So I have to build a separate buck paddock and shelter and all the infrastructure that goes along with that.
Yep, they'll be in a permanent pen, and they'll have a little shelter for that.
So why did we decide to get bucklings instead of just doing stud services?
Well, mostly just for the hassle. With timings of the does and heat and our schedules, and it seemed more convenient and cost effective to actually just have our own buck. And goats need companionship, so a lot of people keep one buck and one wether. We figured if the other goat is going to be eating food anyway, why not have a second breeding option as far as bloodlines. So yeah, we're gonna try it. It may not work out, but we'll see. So we want to be able to milk these girls, make soap, make our dairy products, and we'll have goat kids available to sell hopefully here in a couple years.
Yeah, it's kind of a long-term project.
Yeah.
There's a lot of infrastructure and building projects that need to happen between now and then. But we've kind of staggered it out over a few years so that it's not all at once.
Yeah. Yep. And as far as other animals, what have we talked about maybe doing?
So Katie's she gets on these kicks, and the latest one is she wants to get into sheep.
It's not a kick. It's not a kick. There's solid reasons for it.
It's a kick in the same way that the goats were. It became a thing.
It's a kick in the same way that chickens probably were too, and 15 years later, here we are. No, but we kind of want to have animals around that we can get meat from, honestly. And we're kind of mulling over adding, 3-4 sheep to the homestead. I don't know if we'll sneak that into 2022 or if that's going to be a 2023 thing, but we'll see how it goes. You can milk sheep too, actually. And then if you get the right kind, you can get, wool from them. You can, raise them for meat is kind of the thing that we're looking at doing mostly, just for another source of meat here on the farm. But
I've also heard that they're pretty good at landscaping.
Yeah, yep. We can use them as lawnmowers.
Yeah, so goats are kind of picky about what they like to eat, and I guess sheep are a little bit less indiscriminate.
No, they're picky. You've got the goats eating the browse, so the brush, weeds, things like that, and sheep are more grazing animals like cattle. So between the two of them, they can, keep the pastures well maintained. And then the other thing we talked about is turkeys.
We've had, we just came out of Thanksgiving time, and naturally everybody's buying their turkeys, and we're looking at the prices of all the meat in the store, and I don't know who
when you can find it, by the way.
And somewhere along the lines, somebody mentioned that, hey, we could probably, do a turkey.
Yeah,
and then
I had a couple complaints from friends about less than fresh turkey experiences that they've had recently. So they're, considering the chickens that No, you don't get to talk in this video. This is our video. Come here. Come here.
come here. This is one of our other cats.
This is Baby, and this is why we call her Baby. She's real grumpy.
She's also like 15 years old too.
And I wasn't picking her up hard. She's protesting about something. But anyway, so we decided that we are gonna try our hand at turkeys this next year.
Yeah, we've been doing chickens for the last 15 odd years, and from what we've researched, they seem to be just a bigger, slower version of a chicken.
Yeah, depending on what kind.
Yeah, so we've probably had a dozen people say that they would buy a turkey off of us.
Yeah, so we'll probably be ordering about 15-ish birds here, turkey poults. So we'll get those going, and we'll have those until early fall, and yep. So that'll be a new adventure for sure. I'd love to make it to at least one homesteading conference this year. That would be really nice.
Yeah, since she had to miss out on it last year. Did you go on one in 2019? Well, 2020. Sorry.
No.
No, so yeah, so
2020,
2020, like everything was like canceled,
yeah,
right?
Yeah, they were all canceled.
And 2021, it was just such an odd year for us too.
Or if we can't make it to one of those, at the very least, I would like to go camping for a weekend.
Yeah, I think we need to do a trip or something.
Mm-hmm.
Kind of get away from just the, work, home.
Yep. And hopefully in 2022, you will be able to get started on your journey towards becoming an electrician.
Yeah, so
officially.
so one of the benefits of the job that I had over the last year is I got a lot of hours in. So I easily made the hours that I need for my apprenticeship. I'm a licensed electrical apprentice. So one of the benefits of the job that I had this past year was that I had lots of hours. So I got I'm about 1/4 of the way through my apprenticeship towards being a journeyman electrician, and so hopefully in 2022 I'll be able to continue on with that.
Yeah, that'll be great. Some stability there would be great.
Yeah, everybody likes to have the power turned on.
Well, especially with, the pandemic and the economies and everything's so volatile. He got to thinking, what are things that people always need? You know, I mean, that's how I feel too with, the wanting to farm.
Yeah, and it's a useful set of skills.
People always need to eat. They always need power. They always need plumbing, electrical. I mean, unless, you're off grid, but that you're still having a form of plumbing and you're probably still doing electrical. Maybe it's just solar. What else? We might be building a garage this year.
If the stars align and all the work situations kind of normalize a little bit, the hope is to have a garage addition onto the house.
Yeah,
we technically have a garage, but it is a glorified shed right now and in kind of a state of disrepair, not really usable for cars.
Yeah. We haven't wanted to put any money into it because we know that it's coming down. We're going to replace it with something attached to the house and something usable. So that's in the works. We also have quite a bit of repair work to do to our main barn and the driveway and that kind of thing. Now that we officially own this place, we can kind of do more as far as the infrastructure type repair work that you're not really allowed to do as a renter. So that's pretty exciting. I just hope that the time money continuum kind of works out in that respect. So, but it's something to look forward to.
Yeah, there's a lot of projects around here that
such as a root cellar in the basement.
Yeah, that's something that should be actually a fairly, knock on wood, easy one to accomplish because...
Never say that.
Yeah, I probably shouldn't say it. You never say it's easy because it never is.
Yeah.
So that's one thing, putting in something of a root cellar that has a cold air exchange on it.
Yeah.
That's in the work. That will be in the works.
What did we get ourselves for Christmas?
What? So Catie bought me a book. There you go.
Polyface Designs.
So I'd been always complaining that with all these new projects and everything that it takes a lot of time to come up with an original design, work out the kinks on it, and figure out how to make it all work.
You can waste a lot of time and money on that.
You can double the amount of time it takes to get a project done, and if time is of the essence for you, or you don't have a lot of time
or money,
you can waste a lot of time and money building things that don't work or buying materials that you don't actually use for the project. So we decided that it would be best to...
We decided to consult the experts, basically, to save us some time and some wasted money. And so we splurged on this book, and this is by Joel Salatin and Chris Slattery, and it is absolutely chock full of diagrams, tool lists. I mean, it goes really into detail on everything from hog pens to chicken tractors to...
Yes, some of the things in here aren't immediately applicable to us. Maybe at some point in the future we'll make use of them, but there are a few things in here that's going to help me to accomplish some of our goals for the year more quickly, more economically.
Yeah, and that's not to say, that you can't come up with your own bright idea and try it out. It's just that
it's a lot easier to take a proven design and make modifications to it.
Yeah, or at least see what's involved with, Joel Salatin's been doing this for many decades, and we have not. So, why not see what he's got to say about this? And so far, just at a quick glance through the book, we're pretty excited. We're pretty impressed.
One of the projects I did do this year is I built a smaller version of one of Joel Salatin's chicken tractors. And there are some things that I like to change on it. Some material choices. Anyway, so this book is going to help out a lot in making better decisions on that. I'll be consulting it as we go along here. I'm sure you'll see it in some videos at some point in the future. Obviously, this is copywritten material, so I don't know how much of it I can just directly show on a video.
Yeah. Well, at any rate, we're pretty excited about that. So we'll kind of redo a chicken tractor. We're going to need to build some mobile shelters for the goats and possibly sheep, as well as stationary structures for like the buck goats, who are going to have their own enclosure. And then we had talked about possibly doing a mobile chicken coop, like a mobile laying house, so that we can get the birds the heck out of the barn in the summertime, so that they don't just poop on everything and mess everything up, and they can be out, we can put them to work more so.
Yeah.
Especially behind the goats and sheep, eating parasites and things like that.
Yeah, doing what chickens do.
Yeah. Yep. These animals need to go to work. No more ornaments.
I think that pretty much fills up 2022, doesn't it?
It ought to. So we hope you've enjoyed our recap of 2021, and we are very excited to bring you along with us in 2022 and hopefully show you some of the neat projects that we have in store. So merry belated Christmas to all of you.
Happy New Year. Happy
New Year, and best of luck and many blessings in 2022. Bye.
Should old acquaintance